Hi, Tim. How are you?
Very well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, so excited to have you. Well, guys, one of my favorite people in the entire world happens to be in our studio today. So let me just run you a little bit about Tim. So Tim Palladino has owned and run many businesses since his entrepreneurial journey started as a teenager in New York. Through his success, he's made it a point to give back to his community, one of my favorite things about him. But Tim's efforts were recognized when he was presented with the 40 Under 40 Shaker Award. Sounds pretty fun. And after a recent seven-figure business exit, Tim now lives in Austin, Texas, where he's combining his love for community and business to create massive impact as a social entrepreneur. All of those things are awesome, and he is a good human, so that's why he's in the studio. Tim, do you want to rebut any of the jokes I've just made?
They're all true, as much as I want to think they're not.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and for doing this video interview with us. So you're an absolute game changer. There's no way to put it.
Appreciate that.
That's absolutely how I feel about you. We have had the opportunity to meet in person. We have hung out quite a lot in Austin, Texas.
Yep.
And I will just start off by saying, so teenage entrepreneur, let's start there.
Yeah. So it's probably stemmed from laziness.
Oh, yeah.
You know, all the chores that I was supposed to do. I was like, all right, how can I get my friends to do them? And then this is a true, very true story. So it was like vacuuming and cleaning and stuff like that. Like it started like, I'll let you play this video game first, instead of me, and stuff like kind of stuff like that was bartering, negotiation for chores that I was supposed to do, which worked really well. And then I was like, all right, let's push this envelope. Let's see where we can go with this. And then I was knocking on neighbors' doors and pulling weeds and stuff like that. And I would count money and they would have dirt on their hands.
And they would do the work.
Yeah, they would do the work. And I was like, hold on a second. What's going on? Like there's something even more here. So every time I got to a new level, it revealed the next step. So it was pretty much gung ho from there. And then obviously like you learn the lessons, like you learn like you're a servant to your customers. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't own your customers and stuff like that. Like the real stuff in business really comes through the practice of business.
Absolutely. And so you, after using child labor for a while, what happens next?
So yeah, after that, I think my first company, the first time I had a real company, I remember actually filing the paperwork and stuff like that. And it was Impulse Clothing Design. I don't think it still exists. I'm sure it was dissolved. I think I was 14 years old. And it was a plan, do, review thing. And that's one of the first things I want to talk about is the mindset of plan, do, and review, and how just knowing what state you're in. Are you in the planning stage? Are you in like the activation stage, or are you in the review stage, and how they all have a lot of benefits. So I, growing up being part of my community was huge. My parents really showed me the brilliance of being a productive member in our society and our community, and not for any gain, but for actual selflessness, because we're all kind of here for each other. Like, to rob the expression from Ram Dass, we're all just kind of like walking each other home here.
Yeah.
So so then it just grew from one thing to another. It was trying to like gamify how I can serve people. I've always been in service-based businesses.
Yep.
And then things just started taking off because I was very customer-centric. I really cared about how we can increase the experience of what we offer.
Great. And you recently sold one of your businesses for 7 figures.
Yeah. It was a pretty interesting day. It was did not go down as I thought. Like, you think like you sell a company for 7 figures and you just buy an island or something. I don't know what you're supposed to do when you
That's
sell.
What I would do.
But it was like it ended up being like kind of like a vision quest, because after I sold the business, I was like, oh, I just sold a piece of myself.
Now
what? Who am I? So like a lot of what I do now is all based on the who am I and what do I do.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think this comes back for me around one of the big things about the game changers around me, and, you know, and the opportunity that I have with this series is to interview people into like, you're really changing the game here. And this is something I found really interesting with you, is that you made this huge business sale and then was like, I'm going to Austin, Texas. Like, this is the
yeah,
plan here. And, you know, as everyone and who has listened to this show before knows, Austin is kind of like a little bit of a mecca for me, and it's somewhere that I have absolutely fallen in love with, because everyone there seems to be a game changer and is
yeah,
not there to mess around. Like, they're there to make big sweeps and make big
yeah.
changes. Tell us what you're doing now, Tim, just so we have a bit of a understanding of what you're up to at the moment.
Yeah. So right now I'm doing something. Of course, I'm biting off bigger pieces than I ever have. Right. So I'm building an ecosystem that serves entrepreneurs' mental health and abilities. So what that means is that I'm starting with assessments. It's called the EHAN assessment, the Entrepreneurial Hierarchy of Needs assessment. And that's a 12-week, you do it every 12 weeks, and it gives you an absolute guide on where you are in your life. And it actually creates a report on how satisfied you are in your health, your wealth, your relationships, your recreation, and how it all points into your business and how satisfied you are in your business. So it's super rad. And it's like the first step to actually bring people to an awareness of what's going on, because a lot of us are white knuckle. I know I was a white knuckle dude, just grabbing onto the steering wheel as tight as possible. I mean, like, I think I'm in control, but just because I'm grabbing tight doesn't mean I'm actually in control.
Yeah.
So it starts with that, and it's going to actually, that information and that data that we share with them is going to allow us to create all these other different products based on where we see people kind of suffering and not living life to their fullest. So we can guide based on their information and give them exactly what they want based on their notes.
Yeah. So this is one of the things that I really wanted to sort of touch on, is like that for you is that you identify this massive gap. And I think this program, and, you know, you and I were talking about this a few months ago, and one of the things I was like, oh man, I talked about this being like the like, I had a diagram I showed you and you're like, this is exactly what my business is. And I was like, yeah, it was like the makeup of an entrepreneur. And if one of these things is out of alignment, you guys have access to my goals spreadsheets and stuff, but and worksheets you can download now from the website. But these are things that if one of those things is out, it literally can just take down your whole business. So, you know, let's use myself as an example here. I ended up with pneumonia for 6 weeks. Guess what I didn't do? Any work. Guess how much money I made? Not a lot. It just was not what I was hoping to make that month. So yeah. It was like, you know, $5. I mean, it's something. But it is that thing, if your health is out or your mental health is out, and burnout's real, and, you know, these are all issues that we've discussed before. But all right, Tim, let's jump in. So you've got some game-changing tips for our listeners today.
Yeah. So one of the first things that I want to talk to, and these are basically in order, and they're different mindsets and understandings, but they're very much interwoven into each other. So there's no particular order. The first thing I want to talk to is kind of what we were speaking about before, is the plan, do, review. I like to categorize things and file things. So we actually know what we're dealing with as we're dealing with them. So when I need to know what state I'm in, whenever I go into a state of work, this is going to be a recurring theme. Am I in the planning stage of what I'm going to do? Am I in the doing stage, the activation stage? Or am I in the reviewing stage, which is the learning stage? So know which one you are in when you're actually working. Are you planning? Are you doing? Or are you reviewing? That would be number one. The second one is talking about the planning, right? So when I plan, don't get too granular. Don't talk about, all right, I'm going to take 6 bites of food at 6:30, and then I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to do, no, just do 3 non-negotiables, up to 3, I should say, 3 non-negotiables for your day to push yourself forward. Everything else will fall into place. And you have to understand that you have to leave a little bit of flexibility, because life's a big bad MFer, and they're going to kick the door down, and life's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Life is going to take control sometimes. So you need to have that flexibility, because if you don't have that flexibility, then you're going to break. So what doesn't bend actually breaks. So you have to be really, really careful. So you have those 3 non-negotiables. You're always shooting towards your North Star, and there's no way you can fail at that point. You can just get a little bit less done.
So when you talk about the non-negotiables, when do you do those during the day? Because for me personally, I have my non-negotiables, the 3 things I have to get done, and I do use a number 3. So, just so everyone knows, there's a little bit of science behind this around if we have a list of 30 things, 3 is kind of like the rule of 3 is pretty much where we stand with entrepreneurs is you can only really get 3 things done in a day that are, and get them. This idea for me, I always do them really early in my day, and it's this concept of eat the frog. The thing that you don't want to do and the thing that's going to be the hardest and the thing that you have to get done. That means life is less likely to get out of the way. This is why you see most entrepreneurs do things like go for a walk or go for a run or go to the gym first thing in the morning, because we don't want to do it because we are human and we have other priorities. So we get these crappy things that we don't want to do done first.
Yeah. So a lot of reason. I always start mine in the morning. So I have and that's going to be one of the later ones that we talk about, but I always do as much as possible, as early as possible, because I don't want to work. I want to go have fun.
Yeah.
I want to go to the firing range. I want to go to Ladyburg Lake. I want to go see a movie. I want to eat food that someone else prepared for me because they went to school for 5 years and this is what they do and they're awesome at it. Like, I want to go celebrate life. I want to work. So
you're in Austin, man. You're in Austin. You know how much fun you can have there. How much trouble we got into. My goodness, the firing range is a throwback to something we actually did. And I remember just handing my gun to a very professional army guy and going, "I'm legitimately scared of this gun." You're in Texas when you make the joke. Do you have an Uzi out? Like, what did do you have a bazooka out the back I can have a fire of? And he looks at me dead in the eyes. He's like, we don't carry that specific range, but we do have something really similar. I'm like, joke's lost. Like, he meant it. He thought he's going to go get me a bazooka. This is fucked.
So good.
So good. All right. So do. That's a big thing for you. And do it in the morning.
Yeah, just get it done. And then kind of like going into another thing. So we'll jump into my morning routine. We'll make that number 3. What I do in the morning is learn, then I burn, and then I earn. Let me explain that. So let me back it up. So the first thing I do, I wake up.
You've got rhymes for everything. This is just.
Oh, I have acronym. You name it.
I know.
It's fun.
I know.
It makes it fun to talk about, right? So first thing I do is learn. So I'll throw in a YouTube video, usually YouTube, because that's a really nice medium because it's visual and you're just waking up. So it's more stimulating. And I learn about things that I don't understand. Just something that gives me a little bit of an understanding, not a full knowledge, but a little bit of an understanding on something different to a deep degree. Like, so this is a weird one. Like, and I try and go like real fringe now. Like, I learned how traffic signal electronics work the other day. And there was one shot on the screen where it actually showed the diagram of how the electronics speak to each other for like where the transceiver is, where the light is, where the cars are, and everything in relation. And that popped in my head. Okay, now I know how to structure visually my business. And the relationship between those things actually inspired me to express the relationship between the businesses in my ecosystem that way. It's all these little things.
Yeah. And I really like that idea that it doesn't have to be business learned. Like, it's not, you don't have to just watch Gary Vee. You don't just have to go and watch Tony Robbins. And the education process about anything actually helps. Go watch Gary if you want to. This is not a problem, but be interested. And I think that's a big thing for entrepreneurs is we have to have that interesting factor. Like, it has to grab me. It's got to be fun almost. Otherwise I'm not doing it. And the other thing I would say to that is I totally agree with you about the YouTube thing, but I would definitely say that YouTube Premium is worth every cent. I think it's
really
like $10 a month. That is going to change your life.
Sold.
No ads. And so here's the thing with long videos. The ads look like they're part of the video now. If you're not really watching, it can just like flick into an ad and suddenly you're like, hi, I'm Jess and Tamara. We sell this. And like, you're like, hang on. You've realized you've listened to 20 minutes of an ad, right? Shut it down. It's like in Australian dollars, $10 a month. Worth every cent. And you can download videos, which is the other thing I like.
Ooh. That I like a lot.
Yeah, like when you do like plane trips or and for me, when I work in the studio because I work in a lot of studios for jewelry and things like that, I can watch Family Guy clips if I wanted to watch that, or Supernatural, or The Office clips. I was watching some top 10 things on those the other day, and it was an education, but it's still funny. Like, again, it's like kind of fulfilling that comedy and that humor kind of thing. So $10, worth every cent, to listeners out there.
Awesome.
And Tim, go and get it. Send us a review later.
I will, because I spend a lot of time on YouTube every single morning, at least a half an hour. And that's what I do instead of television now, because I don't want to fall into the pit of the pendulum where like I'm trying to recover, so I do something so off and I get stuck there. We gotta do.
I've been there. I've just recently finished. Yeah, binging is a problem. Tell us about burning.
So burning. So first is plan. First is learn. Then it's burn. Burn is burning calories. So this allows us to get physiologically and psychologically do our filing system. Let the chemicals get invigorated into your body. Let your brain fill back up with the proper chemicals that you're awake, so you're alert and you're thinking smoothly. And allows you to take a moment, right? A little bit of active meditation, so you're starting your day properly. So just those two things right there allow you to set a platform or a foundation for the day ahead of you. Because one of the mistakes that a lot of us make is we think because we knew something the night before, when we fall asleep, we're going to wake up and it's just like turning a fan on and off. No, there's a whole reset. There's a whole bunch of handshakes that have to happen in our software. Like we have to reset it. And by not resetting it properly, there's bound to be errors. And then things break, and you know where that goes. And then
naps is where that goes, and crying.
Lots of naps.
And then and the other thing I think that's really important about the burning stuff here is that there's so much science and so much evidence based around, if you start your day by eating, and listeners of the show know that I do intermittent fasting in the mornings, but if you start your day that way, there is no way at lunchtime I'm going out and buying 3 McDonald's cheeseburgers and eating.
Yes.
Like, zero chance. After I've already gone to the gym, I've already gone for a run, and I've already done intermittent fasting, zero chance I'm ruining that. So if you have these building blocks, again,
so great.
Game changers, right?
It's so great and I never understood that. Like, someone had to explain that to me.
Yeah.
But I realized, like, I can actually make better decisions if you make better decisions. Like, there's a compounding effect. Like, the little wins give you big wings. Like, it's a very, very interesting conundrum that you think you're going to be in later on when you're making this decision. You're like, oh, but cookies are so good. Like, I have cookies, but I have to earn those sons of bitches.
No, I don't even have them because I know how this ends.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're tucked away. If I didn't hit certain things throughout the day, then I didn't get them.
Well, and don't get us wrong when we talk about this, that you're never going to have cookies on McDonald's again. But I took my nieces and nephews there recently, and I stood there, and the guy's like, "What would you like?" And I looked around, and I was like, "Well, I don't want to undo what I've just done. I've just rebuilt all my DNA this morning. I know that I basically really done it like a 24 hours without having a lot. I had fruit and vegetable smoothie, did all the right things, and then I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I was like, I'm going to get a wrap, and I don't want that in a meal, but I do want like a large bubbly water. I was like, just soda water's fine. And he's like, you can have Coke for the same. I was like, yeah, no. And I was like, that's 1,000 calories. No.
Yep.
I'm not doing that. And it was so interesting, just that tiny little like moment, and totally clicked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very, very true. So it sets you up perfectly to earn for the day, because it puts you in a proper mindset, and you'll be really surprised that throughout the day, you're going to find that you keep on going back to what you learned in the morning as reference. So why that's important is, I think the term is garbage in, garbage out. So if you put something that is that teaches problem solving, or just another way of thinking about it, or patterns in nature, you're going to be able to use that as a reference point. It's always going to be your anchor point of understanding anything you apply, or you look to apply to in the future today.
Okay. Number 4, please.
Number 4 is, and this one's real scientific.
Ooh,
So it is.
I feel like it's not cool.
No, it actually is.
Okay.
No, there's a lot of studying. This is actually in my book too. So it's work according to your ultradian rhythms. So our
this is
what?
super scientific. Like,
Oh yeah,
just
no,
like,
it's super
great, Tim. Thanks for just making words up. Cool.
So there's a lot of people have heard of circadian rhythms. Circadian rhythms is the 24-hour natural cycle that our body goes through, right? So it's our wake and rest periods. Inside that 24-hour, there are 90 to 120 minute cycles. So that's the ultradian rhythm. Yes. And you start getting stress responses about 90 minutes in. Sometimes you can stretch it to 120 minutes, but it's super important that you listen to those signals and take a break for at least 20 minutes. Once you hit these stress hormones, you're going to have to go into a state of repair, do something mindless, take a shower, wash the dishes, play with the dog, do anything. Do you ever notice that, like, when you're in the shower, you have all these awesome ideas? It's because you're no longer
shower theory. Absolutely.
Yeah. So now your hormones are being replaced. And what's really cool is if you follow this, so if you, let me go back up. If you don't follow the ultradian rhythms and taking a break every 90 to 120 minutes, your productivity throughout the day is actually going to get worse. If you do follow this, your productivity will actually hockey stick. The scale will actually go up like you wouldn't believe. It's really, really cool. It's compounding in how much more effective you will be at the end of the day or the end of your work cycle than ever. It's really fascinating. So Department of Defense actually the United States Department of Defense did a big study on this. And that's where I kind of got a lot of this information, because they wanted to see how hard they can stress soldiers and how little sleep they can give them. So these numbers are actually all based on Department of Defense studies.
Yeah, there's a lot of evidence around for 90 minutes and then allowing someone to sleep for 20 minutes and kind of having that 20, 30-minute nap and then getting up and being able to do that again. And you can, I think it's something like, was it Albert Einstein that did this? There was someone who was incredibly intelligent who also lived by this and thought that it's something like you get 5 or 6 hours of your day back if you and you have extra time to do this. And I really like this one because there's actually now apps that have been designed that you can do this, that only ever allow you to make a 60 to a 90-minute kind of meeting window. And it's that team kind of work. Like Tim and I would jump on together and we'd sit there and do 90 minutes of work. We never talk to each other, but just having that kind of thing, and then it kicks you out. Yeah. Because like, you can't log back in for another half an hour.
I love that.
Yeah, and I was a friend of ours from Austin. Shout out to David Gonzalez. Actually introduced me to it. Yeah, and he was like, "I've got a meeting on today. I can't get out of it." They weren't talking. They were just doing this meeting together, and then they got kicked out for half an hour. I was like, "This is brilliant." He's like, "Okay, now I can talk to you." I was like,
"That's really, really brilliant." I love that.
Yeah, and
sometimes we need to be forced. Because we get into what we're doing, so it protects us. I like it.
If you're an entrepreneur, there is no way at the first year there has been this moment where you're sitting there and you've like, I'm just going to quickly just do some research on this, or just work on this spreadsheet, or just whatever. And then you look over and it's like 3 a.m. and you're like, where did I've been abducted by aliens. This has happened. And I might be dead because you've lost.
And then you shrug your shoulders and you're like, well, I've come this far.
I may as well keep going. 6 a.m. is Australian corner.
Sleep is
sleep is
just death being shy. I don't need sleep anyway.
Exactly that. And you end up in this situation where you're sleep deprived and tired, and the next morning
and you're mad. You become a mad person. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you literally, if you don't have enough sleep, it's like you're a drunk person.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, final one. Leave it hot and heavy. Let's go.
So this one is actually one of my favorites, and actually hands down one of the most important aspects and the biggest factor of my success recently. And that is segmenting your time and understanding what you're doing. Just like before, we spoke about plan, do, and review, and actually recognizing in your mind's eye that I am doing planning. I'm doing an activity, or I'm doing a review, knowing where you're at. Same thing with how we how should I say, categorize our activities. So when you're
Mm-hmm.
in the do section, what are you doing? So I break it up into 3 different things. One is personal development time, so
Mm-hmm.
PDT, and that is, and this could be for business, but it's for development. It's, you're learning something. You're going to the gym and you're trying to run faster, get a better time. You're taking a course for copywriting, whatever it may be. You're learning cooking. It's the acquisition of knowledge. So there's business development time. There's BDT, and that's applying that knowledge, right? So it's what the copywriting, applying it to your website, whatever it is, cooking for your loved one, whatever it is, it's the actual application of the knowledge. And then there's RGT, which is regeneration time. That's what we were just talking about with the ultradian rhythm. That's that 20 minutes. What it is you do in that 20 minutes is super important, because we can fall right into the trap of doing something that is active, that gives us a stress response. So make sure that you know exactly what I'm doing. Am I learning? Am I doing? Or am I resting?
Mm. And I think this is a huge part that we skip over, is that like, I've got to work until the last minute of the day to then go and do the thing. And like, yeah, great, brilliant. You'll only do that for about a year before you'll start to head to burnout. And when that happens, you're going to basically quit your job business and then go and start to start working for someone else.
Start believing the demons in your head, because it's not worth the burnout. Trust me, I burnt out many times in my life with many
just once for me and Ample. That was enough for me to learn my lesson.
Yeah.
But absolutely. And I really like this concept that it can be, you know, you can, it is almost that learn, do, recover, like, you know, learn it, implement, and also then just have a break from it. They can have some real downtime. And I know one of the things that I think that made me really fall in love with Austin was the people around me were all living almost to that. They're like, oh, I can't, you know, and it was sacred time. So I can't catch up with you today. You know, I can catch up at lunch because I've got to go and get a massage. I've got to go and get, you know, because a lot of the biohacking thing is quite big in the entrepreneurial community. You know, we've got an expert coming on that in a couple of weeks' time, but around like, oh, I'm going to pick up my new Youre ring, and I've got to get my 10,000 steps in. And this was sacred time. This wasn't just a nice to have. This was like, this is mandatory, and this is how we're going to do it. And there is absolutely zero wiggle room here, but I'll see you for lunch. And those people will sit down and then order a salad, a bubbly water, and some sort of protein-based smoothie that's all vegan, and all, like, they're making good choices because, you know, and this is, I think, really to summarize your day's acronyms, but also rhyming words, but also just like zero wiggle room. And I really like this structured idea. And then, you know, you've then taken that and put that into the anatomy of an entrepreneur.
Yeah. It's super important. You have to act as your number one fan, or else no one else will.
And no one teaches you this, you know, like, this is something you have to just hang out with people and then learn it. And you're like, oh, so you guys like get, you know, and I think you guys get like bloods done to make sure your health is fine. That's interesting. And then suddenly you're like, that's actually not a terrible idea. Oh, you're only working a 90-minute. And again, this is the whole game changer about, these are the things we're trying to give you the education of what experts are doing. You know, and this is, again, a numbers game, guys. Like, you work a little bit harder and you work a bit smarter, the further you get ahead. If Tim's able to work 40 hours a week and I'm able to work 80 because I'm working more intelligently, in 12 months' time, who do you think is far more ahead?
Light years.
It is just, it's fucking math. Like, if you want to break this down.
That's exactly why I'm creating a curriculum behind this with everything that I'm doing as part of the ecosystem. Because what's super interesting is that we don't know what's normal, or we think we know what's normal because we hear it so often. And what normal is a matter of consensus. So you have to be part of like a crew or a clique to know what's up. And we live in a very flat world now, where we have the interwebs, and we're all part of the same clique. We're all part of humanity. We're all living the same life. We're going to die someday. So let's like make sure that we can ride as fast as possible and have as much fun as possible in the interim.
And I really like, you've touched on something that's so important to me about the sum of 5 people and about making sure that the people that you're spending time with match who you want to be in the future and match where you want to be. Because, I remember hearing around a table once about people talking about, I hate my job and I hate going to work and I hate this and I hate that. I'm like, that's not normal. But we've seen it so much on TV and it's become mainstream. Like, oh, no one really likes their job, do they? I love my job.
I enjoy, even when it's
even that's shit is great.
That's the difference between pain and suffering, right? So because of my purpose, right? My purpose allows me to have pain without suffering. If I didn't have purpose in what I was doing, then I'm just going to suffer and everything sucks. One little bump will shoot my tires right off. They'll pop my tires and I'll be on the side of the road. But because I have a purpose, the pain is nothing. I don't even feel the pain. It's fantastic.
And this, for many other reasons, is why I think Tim is an absolute game changer. We all need to go and find him now. Tim, where can everyone find you?
Right now, timpalladino.com.
Easy. We're obviously going to throw links down below so you can go and find that. All right, Tim, are you ready for the Fast 5 questions?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, ready. What is your favorite food? Calories notwithstanding, anything in the world.
Yeah, red curry, Thai red curry.
Oh, like duck curry?
No, chicken.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's bad choice,
definitely.
But cool.
That was such an easy answer.
I was waiting for Texas barbecue. I was waiting for potatoes. Yeah, cool.
I want it. I'm going to have that tonight.
Sounds amazing. Other than Position Me by Jemima Ashley, what is your favorite business book?
So I don't know if it'd be considered a business book, but the 4 Agreements.
Okay.
It really, it taught me how to be an adult and a compassionate human being and not take life too serious, but also take responsibility for it.
Excellent. What's your favorite movie?
Ooh, that's a real.
I only want one. You can only have one. I know.
Oh no, there's so many competing in my head. All right, so
just
as
one.
Of recently, and everyone's gonna be like, oh, the Joker, and I'll because of how it shines a certain light on mental health, and it shows his decomposition with his mental health. And it didn't like bastardize it or make fun with it. It showed like the real scary part of it.
Yeah, right. Okay, I haven't seen it, but I'm gonna get onto that. Favorite holiday location?
Ooh, Thailand.
Yes, great answer. Do we just skip Austin and just everyone meets in Thailand? I'm down with that.
Right.
Okay, and what is Tim, you've got a day off. What are you doing for your day?
Oh, waking up slow.
Not allowed to do work.
I'm not allowed. No work.
No work.
Waking up slow. Play some kind of sports with friends. See a movie. Long meals. I like long meals. I like 3-hour meals. And like that right there, my perfect day right there. Just long meals, some kind of sports with friends, whether it be paddleboarding or volleyball or whatever, and I'll go see a movie.
I'm really good at paddleboarding. I spend a lot of time in like the water though.
Less on the board, more on what we're paddling on.
Like 50-50, let's be honest. And then because I get distracted by things like turtles. And I'm like, it's a turtle. And then I fall off because I'm not.
I wonder if he knows karate.
Yeah. Oh my God. Let me scare you. As full-size human jumps in on top of you. Well, Tim, thank you so much for jumping onto the podcast. We're so excited to have you as one of our featured game changers. So we are killing it. We'll be back with another episode next week, guys. Tim, thanks so much for sticking around with us. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I will see you guys next week. Bye.
Thanks, guys.